Good evening and welcome to another edition of Inside Government, brought to you by Cayuga Community College and shown on Spectrum, Verizon, Fios, as well as ARMA, the Auburn Regional Media Access, and Win 89.1, the college's radio station. I'm your host, Guy Cosentino. We are delighted to have in the studio today the Executive Director of Cayuga County's Cornell Cooperative Extension, Daniel Welch. We've asked him to come on to talk about the services his office provides, including discussions about 4-H programming, gardening, the Seed to Supper program, and a whole bunch of other programs that are offered on Grand Ave. We're also going to talk about him moving from Grand Ave to the college and back to Grand Ave. Welcome.
Thank you, guys. In the
studio. I've had several of your, we were talking beforehand, yeah. I've had several of your predecessors, but you have been with Extension for how long?
5.5 years now.
As Executive Director?
As Executive Director, and I've had other positions, including here in the county, for another 12 years with Extension.
So where'd you go to school?
I went to SUNY Cobleskill for my associate's and bachelor's degree, and then SUNY Oswego for a master's degree.
And what's your master's in?
Vocational education.
Okay. So I guess a basic question for those people who may not know. They pass by the building, which is now a new building, renovated building where you are, next to Lasca's. What is Cornell Cooperative Extension?
Sure. So, great question. We get this a lot. Cornell Cooperative Extension is, you can think of it as an outreach of Cornell's land grant mission. So Cornell is unique in the United States in that it is a private college, but also has 4 state colleges that are considered the land grant college for
which goes back to all the way back to Abraham Lincoln.
Exactly.
And so those land grant colleges, I think we have the highest percentage of Cornell grads, or we did at one point in Cayuga County. Many of them did not go to Cornell, the private school. They went to one of the 4 schools.
Right.
Especially in Derry.
Right.
I would think down in the southern part.
Yeah.
So what type of services do you provide?
Yeah. So we provide education to the community in 4 big kind of buckets of programs, I'll call them. So one is agriculture, then natural resources, 4-H, youth development, and then nutrition.
Okay. And how big a staff do you have on Grand Ave?
So on Grand Ave, we have 8 of us that work out of there, and then we have another 4 actually at the Taste New York store at the Equal Rights Heritage Center.
Oh, what do they do there?
So the Taste New York store sells products, all that have been processed or grown here in New York State. And then we work with entrepreneurs to try to get them to that point that they might be able to have their products in that store or get to the point where maybe they're in a Wegmans or a Tops.
Yeah. So everything from cheeses and maple syrup to cutting boards and clothing.
Yes.
You cover the whole range.
We got a whole wide range of products. Some interesting things that come out of the city. We have these little bagel making kits that we even sell there. And
we don't think of New York City and Cooperative Extension in the same breath normally.
Yeah, not usually.
So do you find them or do they find you?
A little bit of both. Some folks reach out through either our website or through state ag and markets, or we're out there trying to see what products might be a good fit for the store.
And how, how big a budget do you have?
So,
for your office?
Yeah, our total budget is $1.3 million.
And where does that money come from?
Yeah, so part of that comes from the original, where we get the cooperative and cooperative extension, is that it was initially a partnership between the state through the Land Grant University, the county, and then the federal government. Over the years, some of that public support hasn't kept up with inflation. So almost half of our budget is grants and contracts now.
So it used to be, a long time ago, everybody referred to it as a 3-legged stool.
Right.
County gave you so much, state of New York gave you so much, and Cornell gave you so much.
Exactly.
And now it's kind of shifted. And I know you have an annual report that's coming out this week, and that literally shows where money comes from.
Right.
So are you applying for grants, or is it Cornell on your behalf?
No, it's us locally, myself and my staff, that go out and try to find those grants to supplement the budget so we continue to do the good work that we've been doing in this community for 111 years.
So there's a lot of talk right now about the federal government. I wasn't going to get to this now, but we're talking about money, and that's a perfect time. Obviously, Cornell has taken a hit from the new administration. I think most of that's DOD, defense money. But has it trickled in, has any of the programs that you offer right now, or is it too early to tell, impacted Auburn and Cayuga County's Cornell?
Right now, it's too early to tell. What the university has been able to confirm, as you mentioned, is these grants and contracts with the Department of Defense. The administration has said that there would be funding from other agencies that have been impacted, but at this point, we don't know what the impact is on the university or what may be the impact here locally.
Yeah, I'm not sure how gardening or 4-H flows into that, but it could be administrative money.
Right,
that-
yeah.
that
So we
impacts you.
still get, it's a relatively small amount of our budget, but through something called Smith-Lever funds, we get a little bit of direct federal money every year, and that is probably what is likely to be impacted if there was to be one.
And you're not at that point yet.
No, we're still waiting for more information.
So obviously the word Cornell
Yes.
comes in the name. So how, you mentioned the 4 schools there, and I know they provide you an enormous amount of resources there, correct?
Well,
But
so,
how are you connected to Cornell?
Right, yeah, and so the resources that they provide for the most part is the research and
Yeah, I
knowledge
should
to
be
do our
clear.
our programs.
It's not money, it's technical
Right.
expertise.
Yes.
So if you got a grub that doesn't look right, not that any grub looks right, in my mind, they provide you technical assistance on that front to your staff.
Right, exactly. So they're doing, and this really goes back a lot of ways into the original purpose of it, is the research that they're doing there on campus. We can then break it down and bring it to communities here, even though we're not so far away, but we're able to be that bridge. And we have that faculty backstop when new things come up too, which is great. Things like spotted lanternfly is back in the news this week, I saw. So we have people on campus that can help us when people have questions.
So
how do we can control that? And
So you open it up.
do.
What's good or bad about the lanternfly?
So the spotted lanternfly is an invasive species that's been kind of moving north as we've had some of our changing weather patterns, climate change. It's become a little more hospitable for them. The thing we're very worried about in the Finger Lakes is that one of their favorite things to feed on is grapes.
Not good.
No, it's not good.
So
for-
what type of assistance do you give to, whether it's Aniella's or any of the wineries that are here?
Yeah.
In Cayuga County or in Onondaga County, because we go over to there.
Right. Yeah, so we we work a lot. That's an area where we do work a lot on campus because my local staff, none of us are grape growing experts. I know enough to be dangerous at times.
Okay.
So I'd like to check back with the folks on campus or at the experiment station in Geneva, who also do quite a bit of work with grapes, on if there is a problem, how can we help the grower with that?
And is there a cooperative extension in every county in New York?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah. So there's an office in every county, and we do have a presence in New York City as well.
And they're all Cornell? Because Cornell's a land grant?
Yep.
So you also have your own board of directors, correct?
Right.
That you report to. Not necessarily who, though I think I know about half of your board members. What is their responsibility?
Yeah, so extension in New York State was actually set up a little bit differently than the 49 other states and territories, in that we were set up as independent, subordinate governmental agencies with our own board of directors. So while we do have connection to Cornell, our board of directors here in Auburn determines what the program priorities are, sets our budget, gives me the parameters and my staff of what they'd like to see us work on.
Does that mean that some extensions may not do 4-H or ag or nutrition or natural
Resources. Yeah, so sure, in some, I think most everybody does 4-H, but my colleagues in Putnam County, not that far out of the city, are probably not doing a lot of commercial agriculture.
Okay.
But they may be doing a lot more gardening than we are here. And they can set that because, again, wherever you are in New York State, that local presence is determining what your program mix is. It's not dictated to us from Ithaca.
So let's go to the two most common programs that I think people, if they think of cooperative extension, is 4-H and gardening.
Yeah.
I'll get to gardening in a bit. But 4-H, for those who may not know, what is 4-H overall?
Yeah, so 4-H, again, is probably our most visible program because we've done a great job branding with the 4-H clover. And, many people see that at either our youth fair or a county or the state fair. And 4-H is the National Youth Development Program for the United States Department of Agriculture through the Cooperative Extension System. And a lot of people have the association of kids showing their animals, which is certainly part of our heritage and still an important part of our program, but we're trying to grow the program so that more youth can have opportunities, even if they're not interested, let's say, in showing a cow.
Okay, so if they're not, what else can they do?
Yeah, so one of the things we've been working on is developing our STEM programs.
So science, technology,
engineering,
and mathematics.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've been doing some robotics programming in association with the libraries, a couple of different libraries in the county, where kids have been able to build a robot and do some basic programming to give it some commands to move around. We're also looking at, again, it's sort of agriculture, but how do we get more youth involved in the gardening space?
So what's the age group that usually participates in 4-H?
So usually it's open to youth 5 through 19.
Are they mainly rural? Of your group, where do they mainly come from?
Yeah, so I think we're still in a transition phase where most of our 4-H members are from more of a rural background outside of the city.
How about your volunteers?
And that's where a lot of our volunteers come from. It's again, we're working on trying to say to suburban kids and kids in the city that we have some opportunities too, but that basis of support traditionally has been in the more rural communities in this county.
So when you do a program, you also have a livestock auction and youth fair. Are they the same event?
Yeah, so our livestock auction is part of the youth fair, and this is something that
When is it? Usually.
It's the first weekend in August.
Oh, so just a couple months away.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, good point. It always seems like, especially with some of the weather we've been having recently, that it'll be far away, but
Right.
it is right around the corner. Our livestock auction, we actually brought back 2 years ago after several decades of not having one in this county. And it's where youth picks a market animal that they're going to raise, and then it gets auctioned and at the youth fair.
Okay, I'm a city kid. Walk me through this. So, Johnny Jones or Sally Smith, two children I know, will go into your program and do what on the livestock front?
Yes.
Give me a particular piece of livestock.
Okay, so we'll start. Being springtime, we'll start with lambs.
Okay.
That's a good one. So
Easter's just around the corner.
Right.
Okay.
So they will go either working with a farmer here in the county or maybe somebody in the neighboring counties. They will go and pick a lamb and decide that's going to be their project. They bring it home, or in some cases, we have kids that, because of where they live, they can't bring it home, so it stays with one of the other farmers. But then they're working with that animal in terms of feeding it, making sure its veterinary care is taken care of, from roughly sometime, depending on the animal, in that February to nowish time.
Okay.
And then making sure that it's ready for the auction.
So, where does the animal come from? Is it donated?
Usually,
Or do they purchase it?
Usually they purchase it.
Okay. So, how much is a lamb?
So you'd be surprised.
I most likely would be. That's why I'm asking the question.
So a lot of farms will say, if they know it's somebody who's doing it as a 4-H project,
It benefits the industry in the long term.
Right,
Okay.
because we want to help this kid get a good experience, so we'll say it's $25 or
Okay.
$50.
So, are they responsible for feed and everything else?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
How
Yeah.
many young people participate in this livestock portion?
So we had 40 youth
Wow.
participate in it last year, and all along it we have them keep records of what they're doing, how much they're feeding, how much the animal's growing, and then
In August, they sell it.
Yep,
And do they keep the money?
they get to keep the money.
So, how much is a lamb going to go for?
So
And do they go from this size to big? Again,
yeah,
wrong
they'll
guy
go
to be asking questions.
roughly something you can easily lift up to something more in the 100-pound
Oh, wow. Okay.
range, let's say. So
So, who buys
Yeah,
them?
we have a lot of different buyers. Some are other farmers that want to support the kids, businesses that in the agriculture industry that want to
Okay.
support it. So
And how's this different from the youth fair portion of the event?
it's just one piece of what we do at the youth fair. So we set aside some time to do the auction, and we had the lambs went from anywhere last year from 2,500 to we had one go
$2,500?
yes,
Wow.
and on up.
So there is an incentive here.
Yes,
Okay.
there's big incentive for the
Okay.
kids. It gets it's a fun.
Do all the animals go usually?
Yes, all the animals end up getting sold for different prices, but it gets a little bit of that competitive spirit that you sometimes
I'm
get
thinking
in an
for
auction.
$2,500. Yeah. So just one more, maybe more, but one. So is this a lead on to the state fair? Is there any connection from your event? Because I know Cooperative Extension, in some different ways, I've seen them in the past
Yeah.
at the state fair. Is this any connection to the state
Yeah,
fair?
so not so much for a little bit for the livestock auction if they have a market animal, but most of the events to show in the youth classes at state fair, the youth have to have exhibited at a county level fair
okay.
before they can go to state fair.
All right. I mostly could go 20 more minutes on this. We got other things that you do, a lot of good stuff that you do.
Yep.
So what is Seed to Supper, that program?
Yeah, so Seed to Supper is something we're launching this year as a new program. And we're going to start that in partnership with the Booker T. Washington Community Center. And the idea is to give folks that maybe don't normally have the space or the tools to have a garden. We're going to teach them something about gardening, but also give them some of those tools.
So is it, does that mean BTW will have an old-fashioned victory garden on property?
Well, they have a community garden.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there that the youth work on, and we help them with that. This is going to be giving folks the resources to have a container garden at their home or at their
okay.
apartment.
And is this for novice?
Yeah, yep, anybody.
Children, this is only for children then?
No, this is for this particular program, we're looking at adults.
Oh, and adults?
Yep.
And does it cost anything to participate in the program?
No. This is one of the grant efforts.
So this is a period piece, so that you can't do it in December. You're doing it in this period.
Yeah.
So how does somebody find out about this particular program? You go to your website.
Yep, cccayuga.org.
And you can find out how to participate in
Yep.
that. And this is open to anybody in the public.
Yes.
No requirements for
No.
income. I did want to ask you a question before I
Yeah.
get to the fruits and vegetables. You said you're dangerous with the winery questions. Do you answer questions personally about gardening?
I'm not so much on the gardens, but other things that my background is actually subject matter wise is in farm business management and dairy. So I will, when people have questions, if I know the answer, I'll get it to them.
So this is where I'm going with this. What's the weirdest question you've ever gotten?
The weirdest question. This is great. We get a lot of interesting ones. Probably one was a insect that came in on a pallet from Mexico,
Oh,
and the company that received it didn't know what it was, and took a lot of tracking to.
so that's a serious question. That's
right.
not a weird question. That's a
Well, yeah, it was good because it wasn't in an agricultural business, but it was a little weird because when we first all looked at it, and even down on campus, they were like, "What is this?"
Yes. So another program you have is this fruit and vegetable prescription program. What is that?
Yeah, so that's through our nutrition program, and what that is we combine educational series on healthy eating with the opportunity to get vouchers
Through
for the
SNAP,
participants.
SNAP program?
This is actually, yes, through our SNAP Ed program. And the participants get vouchers that they can then use to purchase fruits and vegetables.
And is it only fruits and vegetables they can purchase?
Yeah, with this program, yeah.
So the focus is on that. So what are you teaching them?
We're teaching them things like nutritional content, what might be good for different, what their nutritional goals are, how to cook with it. That's a skill that we've lost a little bit, is cooking with raw vegetables.
Right.
So we try to teach them both that cooking piece and what's the nutritional benefit.
So who gets to participate in that program? Are there eligibility requirements?
So our general eligibility for that is that you need to be in our SNAP Ed region and or our SNAP Ed eligible communities, which due to some changes in the grant about 5 years ago is the city of Auburn, Port Byron, and then Cato Meridian.
And does it cost anything to participate?
No.
But somebody can go to your website again.
Yes.
And how many people do you usually take in the program at a time?
So we'll take usually like 8 to 12 at a time, but we're running classes pretty regularly.
So it's all year.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
seasonal like the other program we were just
Right.
talking about.
No, because we partnered with some of the grocery stores, so even when you can't use them at a farmer's market or roadside stand, you can use them at the grocery store.
So I want to ask you a little bit about the move. You used
Yeah.
to be hanging out here in the building,
Yes.
over here at 197 Franklin Street. But you originally, that building that is on Grand Ave was built in the early 1960s by the agricultural community and the Cornell community. Why did you donate the building to the college?
So,
Other than we asked you to.
right. So, as you mentioned, that building was built in 1960. The planning for it began in the early or late 50s. And so it was built for a different time. We had a lot more of our partner agencies there, and really we were no longer the size where we needed that
Space.
That space. It was really too big. The days of we used to have a big meeting room there that could fit 300 people. We're not having those kind of meetings anymore.
And so you moved here to the college
Yep.
for about, what, 2 years?
3.
3 years?
Yeah.
And now you're back at Grand Ave.
Yes.
And so have any of your services changed since you moved there to here to back to there?
No, none of our services have changed. There's been a little bit of a hiccup in each of the moves with like getting phones ready
Right.
that day, but our services haven't changed. And
And you're pretty much in the same space that staff was in 10
Yes.
years ago.
yes.
So 2 last questions. What do you think is the biggest misconception about cooperative extension?
Yeah, so I'd say the biggest one is that we're only a resource for the rural part of the county. We have, and we're going to continue to build programs that are benefit to folks in Auburn and the surrounding communities as well. And I think that historical association with the agriculture community remains, but we want to be
So you're always looking for the new thing.
right.
That where somebody needs to do help. Cornell Cooperative Extension 30 years ago was at the leading edge of milfoil in the
Right.
lake, did lake quality, did solid waste and recyclables. When there's a need for a community to address a certain problem, that's why Cornell's there.
Exactly. Yep.
And how does somebody find out about all the programs you offer?
Yeah. So great question. Our website is a great source. Also, we have a Facebook page that we try to keep updated, and we still put things in the Citizen.
Well, you and I should say the website is very easy to navigate. It's not it's not cumbersome to start with.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
So our guest has been the Executive Director of Cornell Cooperative Extension, Dan Welch. And we want to thank you for coming in, and I hope you'll come
Thank you,
back and give us
guys.
updates
Definitely.
about once you're all settled in
Yeah.
on that. We're going to be back with 2 very short Beyond the Front Page, 15-minute segments in a moment. The first is with the Auburn Education Foundation's President, Janie Hutchinson, and Vice President, Bonnie Blair, to talk about who their Hall of Distinction Award winners are this year. And then we're going to be followed with a discussion with Cayuga Community College hosting the National Junior Collegiate Athletic Association Division III Baseball World Series. Way too long. With President Brian Durant and the college's athletic director and baseball coach, John Rizzo. On Tuesday, we'll be back with Donna Lamb and of the Schweinfurth and Auburn Police Chief Matthew Androsco. We had to move those shows from last week. They're coming in on Tuesday, and so you can tune in for those. If you'd like to send us your ideas for shows or guests, you can send them to cozguytho@aol.com. I'm Guy Cosentino for Cayuga Community College. Stick around. We have 2 great shows to follow, and we'll be right back.